Well, that's an interesting way to start Wednesday, isn't it? I say start, it's lunchtime here. City have been linked to Milos Kerkez, the Hungarian left-back at Bournemouth, one of the stars of Iraola's Bournemouth side. Very interesting. By the way, it looks like the internet's been a bit ropey. Sorry about that. If so, fingers crossed it will settle pretty soon. I think it is settling. Very random out of nowhere bit of information, and I quite like it, if I'm being honest. Anyway, how you all doing today? Of course, it's the day after City's very triumphant 2-1 victory against Aston Villa last night. Yeah, a massive result for Manchester City's Champions League aspirations, of course, ahead of a summer rebuild. And we've got a bit of news today about one player who could be part of that rebuild, and it's very interesting. Guys, give the video a like and subscribe, of course, if you are new to the channel. I was actually sat at my desk prepping a 5 things learned video. I'll do that later tonight now at this point. There's no point doing it any earlier. I want to talk about transfer news instead, because this is breaking news, of course. Milos Kerkez, a guy I think that could be very, very good for Manchester City Football Club. I'll go to the news and show you where it's come from and all this kind of stuff. Here we go. The context, of course, will be given as well. It says, Man City are interested in Bournemouth's left-back Milos Kerkez this summer alongside Real Madrid and Liverpool. The 21-year-old is expected to make a decision on his future at the end of the season. And this comes from Lyle Thomas at Sky Sports News and Mark McAdam TV. Basically, these two Sky Sports journalists are reporting that City want Kerkez as a potential Manchester City signing for next season. And I like that. I really like it. I really do rate Milos Kerkez. If you saw my dream squad builder for next season, I had Kerkez in that as a left-back option because I think he'll be he'll be fantastic. I think he'll be a cracking player. And if you don't know much about Kerkez, he's been a massive part of Bournemouth's ascension into a really decent, very solid European challenging Bournemouth side under Iraola. And he's been brilliant, aggressive, physical, gets forward down the left-hand side with relentless running ability, a cracking crosser of the ball, smart enough as well to be one of the players alongside Houston as well at Bournemouth to have the most touches in that Bournemouth side. And he's only 21 years old as well, and he's getting better and better and better right now. Cracking cross, and a very different fullback to anything we've had at Manchester City Football Club for an awful long time. Just a fullback that gets forward, wants to keep the width, and wants to offer a lot of aggression. Now, you could always talk about our current left-back options. But we've got to take into account this quote from Guardiola back only 10 days ago. Guardiola said, when asked whether left-back would be a priority, he said, obviously, Nico is helping, but he's not a left-back. That's true. I played with Zinchenko, Delph at left-back. We found solutions for many years. Alex Fabian, for example, sometimes Rico, they help us massively. So essentially, he's saying that they think we need a left-back. I think it's because he feels that we don't want... he feels that Nico Riley doesn't want to see himself as a left-back long-term. I am fine with this regardless. I don't think Guardiola is going to play a centre-back for much longer, left-back for much longer. I think Guardiola has made the transition now at centre-back. I think given Nathan Ake and John Stones getting older, and we bought a bunch of young ones, I think Guardiola is going to be a centre-back now. I think we know he can play there, but he's ready to play there in general. The squad has moved on a little bit. I think Guardiola looks cracking there. He offers versatility, experience in the Premier League now, which leaves basically Ake, who I think will move on due to injuries. Sadly, I love Nathan Ake, but I think he'll move on. And it leaves essentially just Nico O'Reilly. O'Reilly and Kerkez, look, we need two quality options at left back either way. If O'Reilly stays there, you've got two very different takes on the role, similar but different. And I think O'Reilly eventually will be a midfielder. I think he's much more technically adept as a potential number 8 for Manchester City. And Kerkez would be a very natural option there. You can't just presume because something's working right now that he'll be the same 10 months from now. So I do feel, 1 second. There we go. So I have to reply to Nicola. Nicola, if you're wondering, Nicola did ask me. She's saying Ruben's fallen asleep in the car. Can I help it? So I've done it. I replied to her now. I'm going to put my phone down because I know people annoys people. But anyway, I do feel that Milos Kerkez would be a very natural fit for this Manchester City side, a natural left back. And there's some rumours that he's got a release clause of around £45 million. £45 million in this market would be cracking. There is the argument that we've got options there, of course. And there is also the reports that Real Madrid and Liverpool will be interested in him. Liverpool are the one I fear there because I don't think Real Madrid will go for him. I just don't really see it. Maybe they will do, but I'm not really seeing I'm not really seeing Real Madrid go in for Kerkez. It might be that they are, but I just don't see it in my head. I think Liverpool are the real threats there. And given that Andy Robertson is now getting older, and Kerkez seems to be an identikit replacement. This is a very Liverpool signing. Like, Kerkez is essentially, he's like an Andy Robertson regen, if I'm being honest with you. Like, the way he gets forward, shuttles forward, a relentless energy, a great crosser. Yeah, he reminds me a lot of Andy Robertson, and I think he'd be a very obvious natural replacement. But City do have the funds, they do have the squad placement, and I think City are moving towards that more aggressive style, this more physical style, that we're changing how we play. Viana clearly wants City to go that way, and I think Guardiola's recognised a need for that. Yeah, I think City and Liverpool are the very obvious favourites there. I think he might go for Liverpool. And he's got the connection with Szoboszlai as well, the Hungarian link there. I think they might be tempted by this, and if I was him, I'd be very tempted by Liverpool too. But at the same time, Manchester City are a cracking option, and I do think, you could argue that City are going to have the money for longer, that they're more likely to be there for longer. I don't know. I think ultimately Liverpool's future depends on eventually sourcing replacements for Trent Alexander-Arnold, for Salah, for Van Dijk. You might believe they can do that, but it's not as easy to do. And I think City obviously have the better funds and the better long-term project, I would argue. Usually they've got a hell of a project lined up. Liverpool could be the future, and I think Kerkez is going to be playing Champions League football, challenging for titles at either option. But I think he'll be tempted by the financial package that City could offer, and the fact that the spot's open for him too. I think it really is. He might not be tempted by the playing style. He might think Guardiola might go back to the inverted thing and might not necessarily, we can guarantee him a start to an extent, but will he absolutely 100% be guaranteed to play as an overlapping fullback always? I don't know. At Liverpool, yes. And they've got Tsimikas as well, to be fair. Liverpool's doing well there. But I think he'd come in and play for Liverpool. I think his fear for Manchester City would be, am I going to be asked to do something that I don't want to do? Will sit on the bench if they sign Cambiasso and he wants to play him inverted? I think there's a very real fear of that, That's not to say it will happen, but I'd understand the potential issues there. But I like this potential news, man. I think Kerkez would fit Manchester City really well. I think there's a necessity of trying different things. There's a necessity to mix things up a little bit and try, overlapping fullbacks, natural width, players that can run. And I would be very, 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 very happy if this guy came in, Go for Houston as well while you're at it if you want to, guys. Now, we got Vardiel there. He just fits the potential profile of a young player who's got all the aggression, and there's not many in the league that have the energy that he's got. And he brings pace, physicality, ability, an earnest approach to the game, and intelligence as well. The thing is, he's not just a runner. Like, Iraola has got Bournemouth playing such an intelligent, aggressive style. And I think it's him and Houston have had the most touches of the ball for that Bournemouth side. He's very much trusted in the build-up. The ball goes through an awful lot, so he's not just getting the ball and whipping it across. He's very much involved in all the passing and the build-up. So, yeah, he's smart enough. He's tall, fast, powerful, absolutely. Look, I would love that. If you got... Imagine these options. I'll get lineup builder on screen as always, and I'll start to build up the options for the defence for you and show the potential depth. Look, imagine you had this where you've had, Kerkez. I'll put Nico in there as well. I'll put as options. I'm not saying you should start Nico O'Reilly. Then you had, Vardiel and Race or Juma Bar maybe. I don't know. Then you had Diaz, Kusa, and then maybe Cambiasso and Nunez potentially as an option. All of a sudden, the back line starts to look a lot stronger, doesn't it? I mean, you can see the versatility and the massive drop-off in terms of experience, but at the same time, John Stones, Akanji, Nathan Ake will be moving on due to injuries and age. It starts to take shape, and it could be that we change it a little bit, but Rico could be there as well, absolutely, Joshua, but it's just hard to fit on, mate. I haven't got the space, but Rico could be there too. Either way, it gives you an awful lot of depth, a lot of youthful endeavour, a lot of energy to move things on, and I'd be really, really happy with that all of a sudden. And maybe if you want just to put Kerkez and I'll put Rico there for now or whatever, maybe you could eventually see this where you've got Rodri, Gonzalez, and then you've got MGW if he comes in, Morgan Gibbs-White, Nico O'Reilly, then you've got Verts, Foden, you know, all of a sudden you can see, and you've got a lot of aggression there. A younger squad coming in. I don't know how it could be, but what I like is that you're seeing signs of a younger squad coming together and a bunch of players that could offer something a bit different. I want options. For a long time, we've had inverted fullbacks and all this kind of stuff, and I want someone who can get forward and cross. I want someone who can run back and forth, because you have to have that in modern football. It can't just be technical players. It has to be players who can run. And if you can find the mixture of the two, then you're absolutely onto something there. You know, you've got players who can get forward. You've got players who can work really hard. And that, to me, is the sweet spot. Technical players who can run, who are aggressive, who've got a lot to learn, and also have Premier League experience. It'd be great. It'd be a great signing. Ultimately, Nico Riley is part of this Manchester City squad now. He's made himself, in my opinion, you can't really get rid of Nico Riley now. He's relatively unlocked, I would argue, as part of Manchester City's first team now, which is good. Of course, you have to be patient. I understand he's got a lot to develop, but I think Nico Riley will end up being a midfielder. And look, I want two in every role now. Like, we can't be like, oh, we've already got a starting left back. We need to have players in every single role who are good enough. So, yeah. And I don't think O'Reilly will end up left back full time, you know. I think eventually we'll move on and we'll see O'Reilly in midfield, and maybe he'll play left back a little bit, and Kerkez or someone like that. Look, I think he'd be a step in the right direction. And I'm a sort of believer of the cream rises, you know, to the top and all that kind of stuff. So we'll see. Guys, it was just a very quick video. I wanted to go live. I'm going to leave it there. Do let me know in the comments if you would take Milos Kerkez. The rumours are 45 million. The age profile, the fact that he's something very different to what we've currently got. You could argue Nico Riley's got a bit of that, but he's still very different. Yeah, I think it'd fit Manchester City really, really well. And I just want City to get the right players in. And I want an overlapping fullback and a guy who wants to get forward. And this guy could be that. Give the video a like. Watch the match reaction from last night. It'll be live later on for 5 things that we learned. Thanks for watching. Quick video, but I like the potential signing. Bye-bye.